he's been in the province. And I just want to put him under pressure today to say we need to see him more, because he's got a very good profile and credibility in Gauteng, Johannesburg especially, and KZN. So Herman, I'd like to hear a commitment from you that you'll come here more often, especially in the build-up to the election. This is the guy who got me out of retirement. In fact, I'd left politics because for a whole host of reasons, but primarily I'd lost my conviction. And I'm actually a farmer, that's really who I am. But I had a conviction for my former political party that motivated me to spend 38 years of my life in politics. And then when I lost my conviction, I simply walked away from politics. And for 2 years I was happily out of politics, doing things that I love in the agricultural business, until this former mayoral colleague of mine called me to a meeting in Johannesburg. We had a 4-hour-long meeting, and at the end of it, he said to me, come and help me fix South Africa and fix the Eastern Cape. And I said to Herman, it sounds great, strength to your arm, but I've had enough. And he looked at me and he said, have you done enough? I promise you it was the most profound question anyone's ever asked me, because I live in a broken province. And I flew home, and by the time I'd driven to Port Alfred, I'd decided that I hadn't done enough, and I'm now in politics with Herman. So, thank you for nothing. Thank you for nothing. So, I don't have to tell you, the hope and promise that 1994 brought, and 30 years later, we're going down the tubes in this country, and we don't want to, I don't want to carry on talking about all the negative things in South Africa. We've adopted a principle in our party and called an 80-20 principle. We talk about the problem for 20% of the time, and for 80% of the time we're focusing on how we're going to fix that problem. That's the attitude that we've adopted, and you won't hear us slagging off other political parties. You're going to hear us talking about the solutions for South Africa. For those of you, and I know all of you live in a DA-led administration, and it's much better governed than an ANC administration. You can compare it to your neighbors. There is no comparison. But you know what? Even if you'd had a broomstick here, it would have been better than the previous administration. And it's not perfect, and I'm not here to tell you what's wrong with it, but it's not perfect. But what I do want to tell you is that we are not focused on shifting the chairs on the Titanic. We've seen the iceberg, and we want to turn the Titanic away from the iceberg. So we don't want to take this municipality away from the DA. This election is not about local government. It doesn't affect your local municipality. We are a natural partner or ally with the DA. We're already in government with them. But I want to tell you the competition is what makes people and organizations perform. And if there's competition in this municipality, for this municipality, whoever's in government will perform better. And if we're in government with the DA, we will make them perform better. If they're in government with us in Johannesburg, they will make us perform better. It just works like that. So politics is fluid and full of opportunity. Generational voting patterns are being broken. Those of you will remember in the past, you were a bloedsap or a bloednat. And that is what it was. You voted for the party of your forebears, come hell or high water. 18 million former ANC voters did not vote in the last election. 18 million. That's more than the people that did vote in the whole election. They have broken that generational voting pattern. I'm an example of breaking generational voting patterns. I voted for the party that my father voted for. I voted for the party that my grandfather voted for. I have broken that. Why? Because I have a mind. The art of politics is to change people's minds. And if you have a mind, you can change your mind. And that's what is going to change South Africa. Those people who voted ANC in the past, who vote ActionSA this time, are going to change South Africa. That's why I say we're not shifting the deck chairs. We are bringing a constituency that other parties can't, and Herman will talk about that. Success in politics is about being on the right side of the numbers once the votes are cast. Voting for enclave political parties that make you comfortable. If you're Afrikaans speaking, you vote for Afrikaans party. If you're Zulu, you vote for a Zulu party. If you are, whatever you are, a fundamentalist Christian, you vote ACDP. What does it help? They're all 2, 4, 6% parties. If every person that looks like you voted for one party in South Africa, it'd be a 15% party. What does that mean? Nothing. It won't bring any change. My experience has been that this voting for enclave parties has allowed the ANC to carry on doing what they do with impunity. We have experienced that there is no barrier to entry into our party. We don't have a racial background. We don't have the stigma of being in government before. We're a new political party. We're bringing a breath of fresh air because we are a melting pot of people from all political parties, from the ANC, the PAC, the DA, you name it. People that have had enough are joining our party. If you're exasperated, disappointed, disillusioned, whatever you are about the current state of affairs in South Africa, there are two things that you have to do. The first one is the most obvious, but you won't believe that people don't take it seriously. You've got to be registered to vote. And then you've got to vote with your mind. And the second one is, if you, your family, your business, your community, your livelihood is important to you, you must invest or ensure that what is important to you is looked after. Do you know how many people tell me, ach meneer, ek stel nie belang in politiek nie? That's fine, it's your choice. You don't have to be interested in politics. Politics is interested in you. Politics will determine whether you call the police and they'll respond and you'll be taken care of, whether your wife can have a baby in a hospital, in a bed, with somebody looking after her, or having a baby on the floor and your wife and baby dying in a public hospital. That's all politics. I can give you a whole list of examples. But the thing that you have to think about today, everything you value, the greatest risk to that is politics. Bad politics, bad government will destroy your best laid plans, will destroy your business. And we're asking you to think about that and invest. You will never get a political dividend if you don't invest in politics, not just your vote. Invest some money where the greatest risk is to look after what you cherish most. I want to introduce Herman Mashaba. He inspires me, he works hard, he puts his money where his mouth is. I've worked for a political party most of my life. I've never worked for a leader who has their hand in their pocket all the time, deep in their pockets. But I want to use a comparison to introduce this guy. The only person who transformed his country from a third world country to a first world country in less than 20 years is Lee Kuan Yew. And he had 3 letters or 3 words that defined his success, and it's still successful today. It's the least corrupt nation in the world. The first word was M for meritocracy. He basically said, find the best person to get the job, for the job, and the job will get done. The second one is pragmatism, P. Pragmatism is the new ism in politics. Deng Xiaoping described it best, former president of China. Doesn't matter what the color of the cat is, black or white. If the cat catches mice, good cat. Simple. What's the problem? Who's going to fix it? By when? And what happens if it doesn't get fixed? I have seen 5 senior leaders in this party in 2 years being expelled from this party for not doing their work, for undermining the promises that we're making to South Africans. And the last one is honesty. He's the president. Within a week of being elected, one of his cabinet ministers went overseas on an undeclared trip. When he arrived back at the airport, he was arrested and sent to jail. He protested and said, I did nothing wrong. He said, I assume that you went on that trip with a multinational company. He must have had a vested interest. You didn't declare it. You're going to jail for corruption. No corruption in Singapore. Herman Mashaba.
Thank you, Athol, with the opening remarks, and good morning, San Francis Bay, for making the time to come and listen to a politician on a Friday morning. Very important date for the world. This afternoon we await some big judgment coming from Europe, but I'm not here for that, but it's going to really affect us, whether we like it or not. Just to really emphasize what Athol just said to you, which is actually quite disturbing in the sense that we live in a country where I can give you a Bible size of everything going wrong. But at the same time, we're in a country where we're in a democratic constitutional democracy. 36 million South Africans, 2019 on the voters roll, eligible voters. 36 million. Out of the 36 million South Africans, with all the negative stuff, I don't have to dwell on that. Just to give you real statistics, not coming from a university, from a professor, real statistics. Of the 36 million, 18.6 million people decided to stay away from home, not to go and vote, because they were hurtful. Half of them never even bothered to register, because they were hurtful. They thought they were punishing the ANC. Only 17.3 million people came out to vote. ANC voted in by 10 million of those people, attaining 57% of the votes. I find it really very strange that, okay, let me park for one side, park the 18.3 million people who did not vote. I still find it quite weird and upset that I can come across South Africans, successful ones, who've got everything to lose. The 18 million people who've chickened out, they are not voting. They've got absolutely nothing to lose. If this country collapses tomorrow, and this country is going to collapse if ANC is going to be in power in this coming election, this country is going to collapse. Then I find people who are saying, no, I'm not interested in politics. I'll just go and vote. I'm going to carry on with my life. Politics has got nothing to do with me. Don't come and talk to me about politics. So I'm actually quite pleased on a Friday morning like this that you are prepared to really come out and listen. And I know you're not here because you don't have anything to do. I hope you are here because you are concerned about the future of our country and the future of our children. Because in the event of this country collapsing, all of us here are not going to be there. But our children and our grandchildren are the ones who are going to really inherit a mess. Unless you've got a plan B to go and run somewhere else. But I don't know if you'll be able to take all your family members and your fellow South Africans with you that we run. And I don't know where you're going to run to. When we had an opportunity to actually fix this country, because we do have an opportunity, this upcoming elections, to fix this country. So let me come back to why I'm in politics. I never really thought in my wildest dream that I'll one day just see myself in being called a politician and actually addressing people, selling them a political ideology. I think this is the work I really and truly and deeply hate. But at the same time, it's a work that someone has got to do it. It's a very rewarding job. I wake up in this morning, left my family on Wednesday. The next time I'll see my family is on Sunday afternoon. I'm paying a heavy price. And you can imagine how much I've already invested to date to get this organization to where it is, and I'll share with you our performance up to date. And it's not happening because of chance. It's happening because I'm concerned. I'm concerned about the country. I think I've been trained as a human being that I must only accept failure after having tried. When there's a threat, I can't just sit back and go to church. I'm one person every morning. I always ask God to give me the wisdom to really be able to take the right decisions and tough decisions. But as long as when I take decisions, I take them with the right intentions. I spent almost 40 years of my life in business. And 2016, that's when I was approached by the DA to be the mayoral candidate. And the reason why I was approached, because at the time I was the chairman of the Free Market Foundation. I'm an unapologetic capitalist. That's why I even wrote a book called Capitalist Crusader. And I was really very vocal the last 20 years. When I was in business, I even went to an extent in 2014, 2015, I took COSATU and the government to court to challenge Section 32 of the Labor Relations Act. Used my own money because Free Market Foundation did not have the money. And these are things that obviously made me very unpopular with the government, with COSATU. But I was determined, and there was just no way I was going to sit back and allow COSATU and the ANC to destroy businesses. And we say we can't do anything. And what is strange is that the big business was too scared. I remember going to them and says, guys, please help. Cost me, I think, about 3.6 million rands in legal fees. Not a single the business came. You just give me 10,000 rand. I said, okay, it's got nothing to do with them. They are comfortable where they are, more especially captains of industry who benefited from ANC policies. The leaders of business in this country benefited from this ANC policies. because Labour protected them, because the Section 32 of the Labour Relations Act says if you're in a particular industry, you must pay the same salary as, to give you an example, when I started my business, my cosmetic business in 1985, so I would have been expected to pay the same salary as Lever Brothers or L'Oreal or whatever, because I was in the same industry. I started my business with my wife and 2 partners. In 200 square meter factory, employ 1 person, 2nd person in Buputatswana. I had no labor union to tell me who I must employ and not, and how much I must pay them. I was paying people based on what I could afford to pay them. So that's why I afforded. So I'm obviously now in politics. When obviously DA approached me, realizing that they did not really have anyone that I felt comfortable that they can remove ANC from Johannesburg. Did I know what the mayor does? I had no idea whatsoever what the mayor does. But I said, if these criminals can do it, I'm sure I can do it better. Honestly, I had no idea what the mayor does. I've always voted. I've always been politically conscious human being. And as you are aware, I was the mayor of the city of Johannesburg for 3 years. Tough job. Tough job. I mean, going to work every day was like going to the war zone. Because you can imagine the city of Johannesburg being the biggest metro in the country. Biggest budget, the biggest employees, the biggest the representation. Very important, Johannesburg for the ANC. Yeah. In the 3 years was the mayor, uncovered 34 billion rands of fraud and corruption. I fired over 600, fired and got over 600 people fired and arrested for fraud and corruption. I fired 3 of my MMCs from my own party for fraud and for corruption. And my party was not really happy with me. But lucky, I got them to really understand this is not about the party. When a colleague commits fraud or corruption and we are able to criticize the ANC and you expect me, I must protect them, it doesn't work like that. I'm not here to make friends. Because one thing that Athol and everyone can tell you, I'm not in this job to make friends. If you're looking for a friend, when you work with me, forget it. I'm not here, and I wasn't born in this world to come and make friends. But one thing for sure, I value friendship. I know the only way I can grow as a human being is to have good friends around me. Not the kinds of friends that people make at some big shebeen in Saxon World in Johannesburg. I don't want that kind of friendship. Our party failed to support me. But one thing for sure, I said to the party, you forget it. If you don't want me to fire these people, then I'm out. And I'm going to tell society why I'm resigning. I'm not going to. I'm not going to tolerate this. This unfortunately created a tension between the party and myself. And, manifested in 2019, because fortunate enough I wasn't born yesterday. God is always on my side, bring things to my attention. Came across secret meetings between ANC and the DA to have a motion of no confidence against me to remove me from office. I think you can imagine that betrayal. I left my successful business to remove ANC, and the very same party that asked me to come and work them to remove ANC have secret meetings with the ANC to remove me, to have a motion of no confidence against me. Second time being betrayed by politicians, because in the 80s, black business like us, you can read in the various books written about me, the role that us black business, before white monopoly capital came into the picture to work with these corrupt politicians, we're the ones who used to support their families, get them lawyers and so forth. So when they started their corruption, I felt betrayed. That's why I only voted for them twice. In 1994, voted for Mandela, and I'm proud of that. Voted for Thabo Mbeki in 1999. But thereafter, I realized, my goodness, no. I'm dealing with a criminal organization here. I'm not dealing with a political party that I grew up thinking that I'm dealing with a liberation movement with a social conscience. That's how I started voting for the DA. And I never had to say to anyone that my vote is a secret. I made it known because at the time DA was the only alternative, because I had to vote. I felt I had an obligation to vote. From the DA side, when we started having this conflict, and someone outside the party at the time, Athol can tell you, was in FedEx. They had no knowledge about this plan. Helen Ziller with Ace Mahashul and Paul Mashatile were having the secret meetings facilitated by the IRR. So, as I said, luckily I wasn't born yesterday. And obviously the plan they were hatching was that I must be labeled an EFF mayor. They came out with a campaign to label me an EFF mayor. And then from the ANC, obviously they were concerned about my resolve to deal with fraud and corruption cases the NPA was refusing to address. And now I had the city's resources. I was putting together some of the best lawyers to take the NPA to court for defeating the ends of justice as to why the senior ANC people are not arrested with evidence as clear as they like. So the two of them, obviously, I was a cheeky black on one side that don't listen, and on the other hand, the other ones were concerned about my pursuing of their criminal activities. So when I came to know about this, I decided to call Musi my man. I said, Musi, here's the evidence. You're the leader. I know you're not aware, but here's the evidence of the secret meetings. Do something. And he failed to do something. And I said, if you guys don't do anything about it, and Helen Ziller comes back to the DA, I'm gone. Being a mayor is the last job I want, and I'm not going to work with people who can betray me. I think I've said this on many occasions, and I'm unapologetic about this. My grandfather taught me not to betray anyone. And one thing was also not allow anyone to betray me. I've said this, people think I'm joking. I said, if you want to see Herman Mashaba's brutality, betray him. And the reason why I will show my brutality, because I will never betray anyone. If I've got any issue, I address it head on. If I don't address it, you must know I'm comfortable. And I'm not going to use it against you one day up. When I have an issue, I don't deal with it. Then you must know I'm comfortable. Yes, I'm aware, but it's not something. But I will never intentionally hoodwink anyone or stab anyone at the back. It's not really my nature. I did not realize the impact I'd made to South Africans, because as soon as I announced my resignation, South Africans said, Herman, start your own political party. My goodness, I said, what the hell is going on here? What did I get myself into? I got myself involved as a mayor. I served for 3 years and I was betrayed by my party. People now asking me to start a political party. How do you start a political party? I know in 1984, I started a cosmetic company in a 200-meter factory. That's something that I know. But and I started other businesses in the process in the 80s. But the political party, where do you start? And in an environment where it looks like politicians in South Africa are there to put their stomachs first. And I think perhaps I'm unfair, but it doesn't matter, because I'm in a privileged position that I can actually work without getting paid, put my money in the work that I do. Everything else is history. The party was launched on the 29th of August 2020, right in the middle of COVID, after engaging South Africans over 3 months. I launched a project called the People's Dialogue, wanting to establish scientifically. If these people who are calling radio stations, writing letters everywhere, Are they real people? I wanted a scientific evidence that this is real. And I remember very well my family very concerned about the money I was requesting because they wanted me to give them the budget. And I said, honestly, I don't really know how much this is going to cost. I know it's going to cost a lot of money what I'm doing, but I have to do it. It's my contribution to the country. I can't work in the dark. I have to know, are these real people? I said, the only guarantee I can give you is that if I get less than 500,000 people, then I won't proceed with the political party. I can look at whether I leave this country or go and become a drunkard, go and play golf every day of my life and allow this country to collapse. 3 months later, end of February 2020, 2.4 million signatories. 5 times the number of people ever imagined. So I had no choice. That's why the 29th of August 2020, ActionSA was launched right in the middle of COVID. We had to immediately make preparations to contest the upcoming elections. In a year's time, we had very important elections coming. I had to prepare. In the meantime, we under lockdown and so forth, but I managed. I think I had God on my side. Made preparations to launch the party, to agree on the core values of what we stand for, all these 2.4 million South Africans. We had to agree on the real issues that are not negotiable. Because, and I said to South Africa, I said to the people who participated in the People's Dialogue, I said, I've been let down twice. I believed in the ANC, they let me down. I believed in the DA, so I don't want to make the same mistake. The 2.4 million people, in the meantime, we don't share the same values. So we had to get involved extensively in interrogating the kind of values that we stand for. Contested, fast forward to 2021, we contested our first elections. Originally, I wanted to contest 3 municipalities in Gauteng. I wanted to go for low-hanging fruit, possible ones where I can actually unleash a blow to the ANC. And fortunately, I think my colleagues in KZN convinced me to contest 3 municipalities in KZN as well. So we ended up contesting 6 municipalities out of 278. South Africa has got 278 municipalities. ActionSA only contested 6 of the 278. 3 weeks before the elections, IEC, obviously they must have had the intelligence, realized I'm the biggest threat to the ANC, decided to come out with a plan that they are not going to put my name on the ballot paper. So people voted for us, voted for this logo, for the logo. So I had to quickly teach people, because I realized if I take this to court, I will miss the deadline to participate, because there was no way the Constitutional Court will sit within that period and make determination. And obviously, because I knew it was a plan, I had my own intelligence to know what the plan was. It was not about what IEC legally was doing or not. I then said, no, I'm going to show them. I got South Africans to vote in the 6 municipalities. They voted for the logo. ActionSA emerged as the 6th biggest political party in South Africa. Contesting 6 municipalities out of 278. ActionSA, we are officially the 6th biggest political party in South Africa. 550,000 people voted for us in the 6 municipalities. Just to really give you the numbers so that you can understand. In 2016, when I was the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, at the time that ANC, before, when I was contesting, campaigning, ANC had 54% of Gauteng. When I was campaigning in 2016, when we removed them from Johannesburg, we dropped them to 44% for the first time. I lost Johannesburg and I became the mayor. They had 124 councillors. And what is interesting, what I'm telling you is because some of you, or a lot of people, are under impression that the ANC cannot be unseated. Let me tell you, ANC it's on a massive decline. In the city of Johannesburg, when I would now ActionSA contested, we now moved them from 44% to current 33%. From 100, they had 124 councillors. The city of Johannesburg, the council has got 270 councillors, all in all. ANC had 124, ActionSA came in. You know how many councillors ANC has got today? 90 councillors. Big blow, brought them to 33%. This is not stuff coming from London Business School or Harvard or Stellenbosch University. These are facts, you can check it in, these are real numbers. Dropped them from 124 to current 90. The year when I was the mayor.
What did the media say you would get?
Yeah, no, well, the media, all the analysts, you can check it up yourselves. The media analysts, they said if the stock fell of Mashaba, I don't know what you guys know what a stock fell. They used to call them like ActionSA stock fell. They said the best scenario, I will get 3 councillors in the city of Johannesburg. They said I'll get 3 and I must forget about Tshwane and Ikuruleni and everywhere else. DA, when I was the mayor, we were 104 of them. Today in Johannesburg, they're sitting with 71 councillors. You know who's the third biggest political party in the city of Johannesburg? When the analysts and the clever people said, I'll get 3 councillors. You know how many councillors ActionSA has got in the city of Johannesburg? 44 councillors. We've got 44 councillors in the city of Johannesburg. And followed by who? The party that's 10 years old, filling up the FNB Stadium with the capacity fill upstairs, FNB Stadium. People think no, they are growing at a fast rate. They are the first. We've got in terms of parties in the city of Johannesburg, right now as I speak to you, out of the 270, it's ANC at 90, followed by by DA at 71. Third biggest political party, ActionSA, 44. The fourth party, EFF, with 29. Way below, at 29. But did you guys know this information? Are you aware, ActionSA, as I'm talking to you, we have 19 councillors in the city of Tshwane. 19. We've got 15 in Ikuruleni. Gauteng as a province has got 9. Gauteng as a province has got 9 municipalities. We only contested 3. You know what percentage of Gauteng we have already in the back? Just under 10%. From the 3 municipalities. Sure. And now, let's fast forward to today. We are ready. In a few months' time, we're going to be contesting all 9 provinces. We've already covered roughly just under 40% of the wards where we have branches. And I'd like to introduce this young man. He was introduced to me just before we started. I thought, I don't know if you know this man. Kolisile. He was telling me, if someone introduced me to him, he says, you meet this man. I believe he used to be an EFF person. One day he found our team campaigning somewhere with the gazebo. This man is telling me tomorrow he's launching 2 branches in the Zeda. 2 ActionSA branches.
Can I also just say something? You know, this guy, EFF shirt, came and joined us. He's just been like on fire. He's Hanky, Potensi, Humansdorp, Jeffreys Bay, St. Francis Bay, like a man possessed. And if you want to know how you can help us, if you don't have, you know, Herman's going to talk about fundraising. But one of my colleagues said to me, I told him about this guy. One of my colleagues said to me, what can I do? I said, here's the guy's got nothing. Unemployed, got nothing. Works on an empty stomach every day. This guy pulled out 2,500 rand out of his pocket. He said, give him 500 rand for the next 5 months, that'll take you to the election. Do you know what 500 rand means to Xolisile? To do unbridled work to change South Africa. Totally committed. Small examples of how a little bit goes a long way.
Well, I think that's a reason why I think for me that's what inspires me to do this job. I just met him 5 minutes before we started. That's why I quickly did a video to show South Africans what ActionSA is doing. Things that people don't really know. Analysts and professors at universities, they don't know what we do. That's why I'm saying to you, we have roughly 40% of the wards in the country already covered. And our target is to have, by the time we go to elections, we need 60% of the wards are covered. And how we cover them, people like Xolisi, we got them all over the country. These are the people who are working very hard to protect what you guys have. What has he got to do? Athol was just telling you. In the event of this country collapsing, what has Xolisi got to lose? Nothing. He's got nothing. So if this country collapses, he's got nothing to lose. But what about you? And if this country collapses, and I'm not a prophet, Zimbabwe will be like a Sunday school picnic. You'll have to go to the shops with armored vehicles. You've got to have, I don't know how much you've got to invest in private security. You've got to take your kids to school in armored cars and protect them at school. Because yesterday we were in P, where schools, clinics are closed. Clinic is closed. The school, they go, criminals with guns go and take cell phones, money from the teachers. So I don't know. You can imagine it's happening now before ANC gets another 10. If we allow ANC to be in government come this year, then you can imagine. I don't know how you're gonna really protect yourself. So we're here to say to you guys, we have the capacity. It's a living example. It's not a movie. It's not something that I staged. I didn't even know about the existence of Xolisi until half an hour ago. And this is not just happening here in St. Francis Bay. It's happening all over the country. If you look at, we are all launching branches because we have to have 60% of the branches so that ActionSA emerges as the second biggest political party in the country, with a big chance of forming a multi-party government. We must lead that multi-party government. Gauteng government as a province, that one we are guaranteed. We are going to take Joburg on our own, or will be the biggest party to lead a coalition government. So ANC can forget about Gauteng. They'll never have put together the numbers, even with their pala dollars. So they'll never get the numbers to govern Gauteng. They'll never get the numbers because we're working very hard. So we're asking you guys to assist us to make sure that coalition can have the resources, can have gazebos, have T-shirts, be able to really have material to register people, to go from house to house. He must have 10 other people in his community going from house to house to show people the importance of voting. Those 18 million people who were chickened out of voting, we want them to do it here in Franciscan, all over the country. We are sitting today with 180,000, a minimum, 180,000 of them in coalitions. And the majority of them are unemployed, are determined to save this country. But the only thing is they need the resources. I don't come from a rich family. I can only do what I can do. And I'm saying, we're saying to you guys, can you guys please help us invest in yourself? Because honestly, we don't need favors from you. I'm not here to ask for a favor from you. I'm asking you to do a favor to your children and the future of this country. Invest in Athol and Xolisi to make sure that we can save this country. We can get enough votes to ensure that we don't have ANC, EFF government into power. We must make sure that even with the pala dollars, I don't know how much under mattresses all over, we must make sure that they can't buy in this thing. You guys can make it possible if you can resource Athol and Kolisi. Athol will never steal a cent of your money. I'll never steal a cent of anyone's money. But I need help. I need help not for myself. I need help to help protect your children and my children to ensure that we can democratically save South Africa. So, colleagues, I hope you can do it. And if you don't want to do it, you really decide. You will tell your children what role you play. The day when this country is in a mess, where today, I'm sure you're aware, we're the murder capital of the world. Genocide is happening today. The ICU is going to make a judgment today on genocide somewhere else. When in South Africa, 80 people are being murdered every single day. Reported cases. Every 11 minutes, a woman is raped in this country. The international drug cartels are here, destroying this nation with the knowledge of our government. Is that the kind of South Africa that you want to leave your children in? So you'd really decide. It's not up to me. I can only do what I can do, and it's really up to you and your conscience and what role you would like to. And we're not asking you to really come into this mud of politics, like as stupid as I am to put myself in. But at the end of the day, if you resource Athol, Athol every week leaves home on Monday morning, is back home on Friday night or Saturday, ever since he joined. I mean, and you can imagine the travels that he's got to do. And Athol will never steal a cent of your money. But Athol has got thousands of policies that can actually go out and do the job. Because if we are not going to get the black voters who've chickened out, who are angry, heartful with ANC to vote, then unfortunately, even if we can get all the white people to vote and vote for the DA, tell me what will the DA get? Let's say, because black votes are DA, they're not interested in the black vote anymore. So let's say all of you as white people, you all vote for the DA. Tell me what will the DA get? Will they be in government? Well, am I being unfair? It's an unfair question to ask. We can get the DA to say all white people vote for the DA, which is a white party, as Athol said, that you vote based on history, vote for the DA. What percentage will they get? At the most. 15. Can they govern at 15? So that's a question that I'll leave it to you. There's, now in 2019 there were 18 million. So today I think we've got roughly 26 million eligible voters, black voters, that we need to get across. I've demonstrated in business in the 80s how to reach those people. Started a business, 200 square meters with a 30,000 rands loan. Within 30,000 rands loan, within 5 years, I had a #1 brand in the country. Built my own factory, 10 million rands. I did not owe anyone a cent. I can tell you, I used to be their supplier in 86, 87. I know how to really reach the market. And I've proven it even in politics. I've given you the numbers of our performance. So we know how to really get to the market, but we need help, and not help for you to do us a favor. The help that we help to save South Africa. So the choice is yours. I think let me open the floor to the Q&A. Thank you so much for listening to me, and all of the best, and I really hope and pray that this country is safe.
Thank you very much, Herman. Thank you. I've heard Herman speak a lot, but each time it triggers something in me that stirs me up, stirs my emotions up. I just want to introduce my team here quickly. First of all, Nongoma. Please stand up. Nongoma Mtichana is our Provincial Campaigns and Operations Manager. She comes from the Transkei. Her dad was a MK military veteran. He ran a business, a trading store in the Transkei for 40 years. Her mum was a member of parliament in the East Cape Legislature, ANC, when I was there. She is our campaigns manager. Next to her, we've got Suzette Brits. She is the local activist here in St. Francis. You've met Kolisile. There's Lusuko Gedze taking pictures. He's our media officer. At the back there with the tall guy, Luyanda Mpilipili, he's our youth forum chairperson. The youth are doing amazing. Yesterday they were at Fort Hare University signing up students. We've got Pierre Leroux from Port Alfred. He is the regional chairperson for Sarah Bartman. We've got Sonia, who comes from Jeffreys Bay. We've got Ernest there, who is the branch 1 in Sea Vista, our local chairperson. He's a security guard at the Links, some of you might know him. We've got James de Villiers, he's Herman's media operations manager. He does amazing work. Well, we're going to Sea Vista today to meet the principal. Then we're having a public meeting in Sea Vista. Why? Because our local activists picked up weeks ago, on the first day of school, that there was no scholar transport. On the second day of school, we were at the pickup point, no scholar transport. We interacted with the parents, the learners. I took some through to Humansdorp, contacted Dr. Rolene Wagner in the Department of Bishu, the Premier's office in Bishu. She was the head of department for public health. She's going to help us sort this problem out because we're solution orientated. We're going to the school to talk to the headmaster about the fact that many kids that are Xhosa medium require Xhosa medium, even young kids, got to hitchhike to Humansdorp. There's no high school. We must find a solution to that. So we're solution orientated. Tonight we're going to Pelsris in Jeffreys Bay. We're having a public meeting. Tomorrow we're going to Makanda. We're meeting with people, business people. Then we're going to Nathaniel Nyalusa School, which is one of the historic first black African Xhosa high schools in the whole of the Eastern Cape. It looks like a school in Gaza. Absolutely unacceptable. We're going there. Then we're having a public meeting. Then Herman's got some media engagement. Then he goes home for half a day, and then Monday he sets up. So that's what our program looks like. We're not doing it for nothing. Herman's explained why we're doing it. So I'd like anyone to ask a question, make a comment. I've got you, ma'am. I've got you at the back.
Sorry, Mr. Mashaba, how are you going to convince black South Africans to break loyalty with the ANC?
I make sure that I have police and more of them capacitated to go house to house to go and explain them about ActionSA's approved policies. We've got very progressive policies where we are saying if you are looking for a racial party, go somewhere else, don't waste our time. We want to build a non-racial South Africa. We're a party where we are saying no union will have a veto right on our economic policies because the unions have destroyed the economy. The reason why when police goes to visit, he tells them the reason why they are unemployed is because of COSATU. And under ActionSA, COSATU will not have a say in our economic policy, so that we allow the private sector, particularly as SMMEs, must operate. We are saying to South Africans that this broad-based black economic empowerment was the biggest scam. We are saying as ActionSA, we are going to bury it. Give us the mandate. We will bury it in an unmarked grave. We come out with an inclusive empowerment policy that is not going to force South Africans to do business with people they don't want. You can operate as long as at the end of the day you contribute to an opportunity fund that must go and rebuild schools and clinics and so forth, infrastructure in these communities which ANC has destroyed. Instead of making cadres of the ANC, we create the oligarchs. So the money will go towards that. Businesses cannot be, South Africans cannot be discriminated along racial lines and so forth. Education, SATU, the teachers union, will have one department of education where we will bring back the school principals, school inspectors. Principals will be appointed by us and government. I can go on and on. Our approved policies are on our website. Can we visit our website to have a look? So that's why the 180 policies, they know this in and out. They go from house to house, explain. Because we are not going to reach these people by being on radio, on television. You have to really go into the houses make sure that you sit with the family, explain them about the importance of that vote. And that's what we specialize in doing. But we need the resources. That's what I'm saying is we need resources for Athol to have thousands of police in every village, in every township, in every community to make sure that that's happening. That's the only way it's going to really happen. That's why resources are very important.
Can I also just say that those 18 million that didn't vote, that's a journey. First you withdraw your vote, then you get convinced to vote for an alternative. We're a new alternative. So they're low-hanging fruit. What Herman forgot to tell you was that in the 2021 election, we got 22% in Soweto. No other party in South Africa had ever got more than 10% other than the ANC. We got 22%, way more than the EFF did. We got 21% in Sandton and Bryanston and Randburg. No other party has ever done that. That's how we're going to get South Africans to change their mind. Thanks. I forgot to introduce Estelle. Estelle is from Jeffreys Bay. She's the sub-regional coordinator for COCA. Yes, at the back.
Well, I think I'm sure you follow the news. I left home on Wednesday morning, flew to Durban. We had a very successful multi-party coalition. The first the one where we are now outlining our core principles or common principles. I don't know if you saw this the other day. We outlined. We started first with the economy, and the economy that creates jobs. Every party in the coalition commits how they're going to pursue. All of us, we agree on common policies. We had this press conference at the Durban Harbour, where they challenge there with the Transnet. And we're going to be having in the coming months, at least once a month, we're going to have joint press statements dealing with things of common to us. Every party will contest as its own party. For us as ActionSA, when we go out and campaign, we campaign as ActionSA. We expect DA to do the same thing, Freedom Front plus IFP. But at the end of the day, we want South Africans to know that in the event of a coalition, because coalitions are inevitable in this country, but at the end of the day, that's why we agree on the principles upfront, and ActionSA is part of that multi-party.
Can I also just say that we've had nearly 10 months now of negotiating with those political parties. Unprecedented, never happened before. There's much more maturity. There was a lot of arrogance in the beginning. It's my way or the highway. Because the law provides after an election to set up a coalition government or a new government 14 days. And we've seen how bad those turn out. It's all about positions. Make me the mayor and I'll do this. Make me the president and I'll do that. I'll give you my one vote. And tomorrow somebody gives them another position and they give their vote away and you end up Joburg being run by a party with 2 seats, Nelson Mandela Bay being run by a party with 3 seats. So we've learned a lot. And by the time the election comes, we would have been talking for like 13 months already, seeing where the weaknesses are, where our strengths are, aligning ourselves. We've made commitments already that the president won't just go to the biggest party in the multi-party charter. It'll go to the party that has the most effective, prominent, popular leader to take South Africa forward. Those are massive concessions. So we've gained a lot of ground, forming trust, but you know what? We're short of 50% plus one. We need more political parties to join us to get us past the post. But as Herman says, the sum of the total parts the whole must be greater than the sum of the total parts. So we have to work. Every single party has to get every single vote out that we can where we have, traction. Yes, sir.
Can I ask you, is the IEC credible, and do you think it has questionable ties with the ANC?
Well, let me give you an honest answer. Do I trust the IEC? Absolutely not, and you can quote me on that. No, I don't really trust them. But it's got nothing to do with trust. I don't care about their trust. IEC will never steal elections in this country, this coming elections, because as ActionSA and other parties, we are going to ensure that at every voting station we have representation. We have party agents to ensure that our votes are not stolen. Right now, this is the last time if we remove ANC, If we don't, then I can tell you then IEC and ANC, I don't know what they will do. But right now, with things stands, with the constitutional framework still in place, all the elections we've had in the last 30 years, they've been ANC won. Only with 10 million people, because they had the majority. 17 million people only showed up to vote. ANC got the majority, so the 18 million people votes went to the ANC, unbeknown to them. So our elections have been free and fair, and this time around the elections are going to be free and fair, whether they're going to try their tricks, but ActionSA will have party agents in every
but fortunately, we've also got the EFF's eyes on the election. We've got the DA's eyes on the election. Everyone on the election. Please don't ever be misled to thinking that an electoral voting system is going to be the answer, so that you don't have to go and stand in a queue. When I became the mayor in Nelson Mandela Bay, there were 14,000 votes to queue. If we'd got 14,000 votes, I would have still been the mayor for 5 years. Nelson Mandela Bay would have looked completely different, because all the indicators were showing the right direction. But 14,000 people didn't go and vote on that day. I know half of those people. Half of those went to Crom for the day. It was a Wednesday, it was a lekker day, they went to the beach. They didn't go and vote. If they'd voted, they would have had a different city. They're kicking themselves now, but it's too late. Spijt kom altyd te late, te laat. Be careful that you don't do that. Be careful that you don't make a bad choice on one day in every 5 years. Make the right choice on that day, and we'll look after your vote.
You know, one thing that actually gave me such a deep sense of gratitude is the fact that our electoral support will go down in history. Not even Nelson Mandela in 1994 received the kind of support that we received. Not in terms of numbers, because we only contested 6 municipalities. In terms of the first political party in the history of South Africa receiving electoral support across all racial groups. For the first time, taking 22% of Soweto vote. Taking the ANC from 76%, brought them down to 59%. Followed by ActionSA at 22%. Followed by the EFF in Soweto at 14%. The DA at 3%. Then let's go to Sandton Randburg. The DA brought the DA also from the 70s to the late 50s. We got 20% in the suburbs. We got 20% in Alexander. Nelson Mandela never received that kind of support. Yes, ANC received the majority. The majority came mainly from the black voters. The first political party in the history of this country. You look at ActionSA. To date, we contested, I think, about 8 or 9 by-elections. 9 or so by-elections. In every elections, rural areas, suburbs, townships, everywhere where we contest by-election. And by-election, we've got 2 months to prepare. In every election we've contested, we get roughly 10%. We are either number 2 or number 3. In the townships, we either number 2 after ANC or number 2 after ANC and EFF. In the suburbs, we're always number 2 after the DA. And the DA is nowhere. In the townships, in Soweto, they got 3%. I can tell you they'll be lucky if they can get 1% this time. And ActionSA in Soweto, in fact, Soweto is the one that's going to make us win Gauteng. Because people of Soweto are hard fought. They are not the kind of people that you can play around with them for 30 years. You expect them to celebrate people putting money under mattresses, and the schools are dysfunctional. So that's why I'm confident of winning Gauteng. Soweto is the one that's going to deliver Gauteng for ActionSA. And ANC knows that very well. And we know our support in Sandton, in Randburg, it's growing phenomenally, because people of Gauteng in the suburbs, they know if they want any party that can unseat the ANC, it can only be ActionSA, because ActionSA appeals to the majority of the voters.
Okay, guys, there's breakfast served here. I don't have to remind you that there's no such thing as a free breakfast. You don't have to pay anything. We're taking care of that. I know your names. I know your telephone numbers because I invited you here. I know who you are. There's no attendance register. I know who you are. I want you to think about what Herman said, and I want you to contact me and say, Athol, listen, I've got 50 grand, 10 grand, whatever you want to invest. I am going to remind you in a week or so's time, but we do need you to think about investing. It's a simple request. It's not even an arrogant request. It's a simple request. Help us. You don't have to do anything. Just help us to help you, and you pitch up and vote, and we can fix this country. We can fix the Eastern Cape. We've shown in government. Herman was a mayor that made things happen. We've got other colleagues that have been successful in government. We know it can be done. We're full of faith and hope that it can be done. There is a table there with Suzette and Polisile and Nongoma. There's some brochures, there's some policy documents, there are some debit order forms. There's 2 books there from Herman, 3 books I think. If you want to have a book, get Herman to autograph it for you. Read it, it's an inspirational story. But even if you don't want to sign a debit order, you can just say to Nongoma, my name is Jan. Make a note, get Athol to contact me. Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to contact you anyway. So thanks very much. Help yourself to some breakfast and go on your way. Herman and I are here, and our colleagues are here to engage you afterwards. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you, Herman.
Thank you.
Ladies first, the breakfast is there. Angie will take care of you. You'll need
Pens? Off you go. Pens? It's ladies first.
I'm not first in line.